of our bosses went on vacation,
Yeah.
and then our main breakfast cook has been out with like 103 fever. He's been in the hospital. So I've literally been opening all week. Yesterday and today are my like a day and a half day off, basically.
Yeah.
So I've been like kind of shoving everything into one day instead of spreading it out. Luckily, I didn't have a lot of comedy stuff, so I was able to just do less comedy and do more personal stuff. But
Yeah.
we still gotta do some stuff today.
Yeah. Having your days off all together usually, and then spreading them out.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, when it's planned, it's one thing, but it was just so last minute. Like literally, this started like a weekish ago. The guy called me like at 2 a.m. and was like, "Hey, I'm supposed to open in 2 hours. Can you do it for me? 'Cause I can't get up." And I was like, "Sure." And then I've just been doing it ever since. And the paychecks are nice, but
Right.
all my free time's been gone. And
Yeah.
like I said, I usually don't do comedy between or too much between November and January just because of holidays and the cold and stuff. So
Right.
I haven't been super busy with that, but it's still like just been exhausted. I've just been passing out on the couch trying to watch movies and shit, or playing Baldur's Gate and stuff like that.
I feel that completely. I've been trying to keep busy while I'm here instead of sleeping all the time because I like the other day I slept for like 16 hours and it wasn't like all at once. It was like 3-hour intervals at a time.
Right. Oh yeah.
And then I would wake up for like 2 or 3 hours, not get anything done, and then go back to bed. And I did that for like a day and a half. I was like, I can't get into this rhythm. So I've been trying to record more and post more cards on the store. But, you know, if I'm tired, I'm tired. I'm not gonna argue with my own self as much as I can. I already drink like energy drinks like it's water.
Right.
So there's no like extra. I could do hard drugs.
Yeah. Yeah. That might be the next step. But
yeah. It's a cold open, but we've been going for a minute. It's the Praise the Run podcast.
Yeah.
I'm Ben. This is Patrick.
Get yourself some hard drugs.
Get some hard drugs.
Strap in. Get your hard drugs. It's a podcast.
It's a podcast. Hey, man, it's the first one back. The start of
It's a new year.
A new year. It's 2025.
Yeah.
We're not doing the video game draft list just yet.
I got a pillow. I'm sitting on a pillow now.
You are sitting on a pillow. So the
chair, we were upgrading. We've already upgraded.
Yeah.
New year,
I was like,
seat.
he'll appreciate just having a pillow.
I'm simple, yeah, just a simple pillow on the chair. That's all I need.
I always have two of them on my bed, and I only ever use one now. When I was a kid, I used to have like 3 or 4 pillows, and I would like stack them all up, and but now it's like just one.
Just one firm one, just something,
right,
where I don't feel the frame underneath the chair.
For sure.
Or whatever, yeah. But this is like an old 90s office chair, so.
Yeah, it was, I think it was like $7 at Goodwill. It was great for $7.
Which is a steal. Yeah, that's for a chair that rolls. That's great.
Yeah, that was the big thing. They had a bunch that didn't roll, and I was like, no, I'm gonna be moving it from one side of the room to another. You don't want to scratch up the floor. The fact that it rolls perfectly for that much money you won. You won right
the thrift store that day, but it's been worn.
Yeah, for sure. You can tell the bottom of the thing came off, and it was really hard to get back on.
Nice.
Yeah. This is the start of a new year. We're starting off a little bit different. Last year, we started the year with the video game draft. We're probably going to wait a week or two for that. Because last year, we didn't keep up with it at all.
No. I think we completely fell off.
I forgot completely.
I had it open on a tab for a while on my phone, and I would check it occasionally, but it didn't stick.
I forgot about it almost. like a week or two later, and I
Yeah.
think like around E3 time, I was like, oh yeah, we started that and we never did it. And
We
then
need to get like a small cork board just for the podcast with like
Yeah.
little notes we can leave or something.
Yeah.
I just got a cork board for myself.
Oh really?
Speaking of that, yeah.
There's a couple of things I want for the room. I mean, for my own benefit, but just to make this comfortable to record more.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, having a board, the mini fridge. I really want a fridge and stuff so we can have beverages and like
That'd be
have
great.
a full day of recording and stuff rather
Yeah.
than a few hours and then have to worry about food and all of that stuff. Mini fridge, freezer combo, corkboard. I mean, the switcher and stuff is always something that I really want. And then try and start upgrading like all of the actual tech side of it is a big thing of like the next few steps I'll actually be doing. Oh,
Right.
I didn't hit the recording screen now. Not like it really matters. We probably won't need it, but just in case.
If they want to
I
see
looked
Kyle with
something
his
up.
hands up for an hour.
Right.
That
And the
wasn't me.
I was watching him play Nancy Drew. It's fun.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, shit, dude. New year, new us. We've been gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's cold.
It is cold. It says it's 20, but feels like 7 outside.
Yeah.
That's gross. Los Angeles is burning.
Yeah, so it's the opposite over there.
Yeah.
Really hot.
It's a cool song from Bad Religion. So I had that stuck in my head all day this morning.
just singing it. I mean, I feel like it's burning every other year.
Oh,
I mean, this is definitely the worst, though. But
right. I don't think it's ever stopped.
It's
Like-
always at a slow...
Yeah, I think it's just contained usually.
Yeah, it's always at a slow... There's a burn somewhere.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
So, shouts out to everyone out there. Find safety and cover and all of that stuff. It's horrible.
Yeah.
A lot of people losing their homes. A lot of people that I listen to and stuff. So, do what you can. Just like we're doing what we can with it being cold out. I went to the gas station today and 4 jackets.
Oh, yeah, I walked... There's this little cafe up the road from my house that I go to in the mornings just to kind of have an excuse to walk or whatever, but it was very cold this morning. I was
so
like, I should have
gross.
just drove this half a mile.
Yeah. And the wind and stuff, too.
And the
on top
wind,
of
yeah,
it.
the wind was I was wrapped up too. I was like this, but a little heavier even.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
Yeah. I
almost
took...
regrettable. And I only drank, and I got an iced coffee for some reason too. So that was on the way back. I'm like, this is
Right.
I lose a hand.
The other night I went to Taco Bell and I was like, I really want to freeze. I'm
Mm.
like, no, I don't. It's 20 degrees outside.
I've
The
probably.
Baja Blast freeze.
Oh, those are great.
Yeah.
I love. I mean, that's fuck it. Who cares what time it is?
Yeah.
Who cares what temperature? Yeah. That's we went to Wendy's or McDonald's the other day and got Oreo McFlurries. It was 11 at night.
Yeah.
6 degrees outside, and we're like, we need Oreo McFlurries. I'm like,
Right.
no, we really don't.
They
don't come with dairy free McFlurries. So
Yeah.
we're cramping up. Me and Kenya are both lactose intolerant. So we're cramping up eating these McFlurries for what? Why are we doing this to ourselves?
Because it's good.
It was good. Mine had a lot of M&Ms though. It was almost unenjoyable.
Oh,
to be
yeah, I
honest.
can't do
I was
that.
I gotta have a good. The ratio was off. I was
Yeah.
chewing too much.
I kind of like frozen chocolates, but I don't know. Maybe it's my teeth are just so bad now. But after 2 or 3 frozen chocolates, I'm like, ow.
I don't
my
want
mouth.
right. Yeah, it's just not. I was filtering the ice cream out of the chocolate.
Yeah.
It was it's too much work.
Whether it's M&M's or Reese's or whatever, it's
Yeah.
just I don't know. It's fucking rocks.
Yeah, once it gets cold, it solidifies too hard sometimes.
And are you just I mean, it's a common ice cream thing. So do people just swallow it like a pill or something?
I don't know. Some
know.
people are just monsters.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, I like M&M's every once in a while. That's not
Yeah.
my go-to candy for sure. I haven't had a McFlurry in forever. Even like Shamrock Shakes, I don't think I've had one of those in
It's probably been a couple years.
a long time. Yeah.
For me. But McFlurries, every once in a while I get a McFlurry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
or
mom
a Frosty.
was the one.
I like a good Wendy's Frosty.
Right. We were talking about my mom last week about the smoothies and Sonic, but the same thing with all of that. When we didn't have Sonic around us, it was like a late night treat would be like a McFlurry or a Frosty or the occasional Dairy Queen like dipped cone, like a classic.
Like the blizzards, because they had to do this.
Yeah, right.
That was a big thing.
Oh yeah, that's what my mom like. She was like a Heath Bar Blizzard or something like that. That's what my mom's really into. Yeah, I can't do any of that. Dairy Queen has pretzels, so I can do that.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
you can
funny.
get pretzels.
Yeah, that is
and
true.
cheese.
Dairy Queen does have like regular food. I always forget that till I get there, and then I'm like, this still feels weird.
Yeah, it's because ours around here are all seasonal.
Yeah,
so
and very
like,
small.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever been to a big Dairy Queen, to be honest. But.
Right. Well, the biggest one around here was the mall, and that because that one was year round.
That's true. Yeah. Well, that was like a.
That was a food
Orange
court one.
Julius.
Yeah, it was mix
combo one. Yeah, those are good. I love a good Orange Julius.
I think a lot of them now, a lot of the restaurant ones, I mean, I could be completely wrong, but the actual, like, hot eats ones have Orange Julius, like, as a part. Because there's not a lot of Orange Julius by themselves anymore. You find a lot more Dairy Queens by themselves, but I haven't seen an Orange Julius by themselves in forever.
No, I think maybe there used to be one in the Providence Mall.
Oh, really?
I think.
It wasn't a combo?
It might have been a combo, but I remember the Orange Julius sign was pretty big.
Yeah.
It's like a prominent thing. Or they added it later, maybe, or something.
I've seen the one where they split it in the middle.
Yeah.
The Foxwoods Annie Ann's is like that, where it's like a Annie Ann Cinnabon combo.
Oh, kind of like the Dunkin' Baskin Robin things that they do. Yeah, those are weird too.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
I love my combo restaurants, but you make it confusing when you put two counters in there.
Right.
It's like, do I order the Cinnabon and the Annie Ann's at the same counter, or do I have to go to this guy and this guy?
Talk to a different hat. Yeah.
At Taco Bell, the KFC Taco Bell, I always get both.
Yeah.
And it's like, now I can't get one or the other without getting one or the other.
Yeah.
The one in Groton's, like, they're across the street from each other rather than a combo. So I always do cross the street for that. But yeah, when I go to Norwich or whatever, it's I just get a bunch of both. Dude, fucking not KFC. KFC's actually gotten a little bit cheaper because they have like the combo boxes now.
Right. Yeah.
But Taco Bell is like getting more expensive.
It is. Yeah.
And I don't think it's worth it. What the fuck, Taco Bell?
Yeah, they're trying to be bougie or whatever, like become like Starbucks quality or something. I don't know. Right.
They have like the Decades menu is fine. I haven't tried the chicken nuggets yet, but people are saying they're really good.
Yeah.
Especially for the price they are. They're like $4, but they're like super chunky chicken nuggets.
Okay.
But like a chicken quesadilla is like $8 now or something.
Yeah,
it's
I know you're spending almost $20.
$16
for like one meal. You spend like almost 20.
Right, and I was like, fuck, dude, I don't know what kind of quesadilla they think they're making for $8. But it ain't that, man. I don't know.
No, that's crazy. I had a burrito this morning from that cafe place. It had 3 different meats in it. It was like $11, but they were like steak and ham. Like it was like a big ass burrito. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna pay that much for one meat in a flattened shell. Yeah.
Yeah, like Moe's for their quesadilla. If I get double meat and stuff, that's $15. But 2 quesadillas from Taco Bell, is 16 something. I'm like, Jesus, it's not worth it. It is at 2:00 in the morning, but I don't want to pay that.
Right.
Yeah. That's pretty much been my week. have you been playing any games over the break?
I mean, pretty much when I haven't been working, I've been playing Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
We bought that like right after the New Year's.
Right.
So
you had mentioned
that's
it.
all we've been playing.
Yeah.
That's all I've been playing. I mean, she's been playing a couple other things. But.
I don't know if we talked about it on last podcast. I know you had mentioned that you were going to start on one of the last podcasts that we did. So how is that going? I mean, co-op.
We didn't do co-op because we only have one remote. So.
Oh, you're not doing because you can do the pass back and forth.
Yeah, but that's lame. We're not gonna do that. So we'd rather just if we're gonna play co-op, we'd rather just be our separate things, you know, and walk around and whatnot. So we can each have our own characters and build the story simultaneously together or whatever. Because you can do the takeoff thing, but I think you can only take turns if there's only... Like, I don't know if you can take turns and have two separate... I don't know. We didn't look into it, but also, like I said, we'd rather do... We wanted to do our own stories first anyways, like our own individuals.
Yeah.
So, you know, she has one on her account, I have one on my account or whatever.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, it's been a blast. I mean, every time I think, like, I kind of gotten the gist of the game, like, it throws a couple more surprises at me, and I'm like, oh, you know, it just keeps getting exciting, which is nice. There's a lot of, like, you know, I like how all the party members have, like, their own external issues, so, like, there's really no safe option or whatever. Like, everyone kind of has a wrench that's going to be thrown in at some point that you have to deal with, which is cool. And just like constant challenges, but they're not like I don't feel overwhelmed, you know, even though there's so many options.
Right.
I still feel like, you know, it just feels nice that like my choices are building the world that I'm exploring and stuff, and you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of it's not so much it affects the world around you for sure, but Baldur's Gate it's very good at making your character the center of attention, rather than making the world the center of attention.
Yes, yeah.
Versus like The Witcher or something like that. Even though you're a main character, like as Geralt, like a lot of the world is more of what is affecting you rather than you affecting the world in The Witcher. I mean, I guess there's a little bit of like there's character choice. I'm not trying to say that there's not, but it's like a lot more, world against player versus player against world kind of thing. Baldur's Gate's very interesting. It kind of also reminds me of like the Outer Wilds, right? Where I obviously two completely different genres, but that whole game is like the world is attacking. The whole idea is that the world is ending and is actively trying to kill you. And you gotta kind of just roll with that, and like Baldur's Gate reminds me of like that whole idea of like the world is constantly throwing things at you and stuff like that, and but it makes you the center of attention rather than like you're not the exploration is like not finding things on a map kind of exploration. It's like stumbling into things and
absolutely
stuff like
there's a lot of that and it's very good at it. You really feel like your choices are like everything hinders on your choices. It really feels like, and I mean there's like just between even some of the areas that like I've been in and Kenya's been in, our parties are completely different. Our characters are completely different. Like the way we play is completely different. So like just seeing some of the interactions that we both faced and seeing how vastly different an hour later is for both of us or whatever, or like some of the dialogue that gets thrown in, because depending on who your party is depends on how certain cutscenes play out and stuff, and that's crazy to me, because there's like certain parts that like if you didn't have this certain party member, you might have never known about this other thing that you may or may not stumble into later, and there's so much like there's so much red rope behind the scenes connecting everything, and it's crazy to see like how many times that comes up again and is brought back up and like connected and it's very you're constantly like, oh man, I got to try this next time, or oh, what would happen if I did that? I'm constantly like saving spots and trying like weird things, and then reloading unless it works out, or sometimes like I've already lost one of my main characters, lost an eye, and I just went with it. I was like, we're cool now, I guess. There's been a few choices that have kind of affected me, but like it still makes me kind of unique, so I'm like, oh, I'm not dead, I haven't died, so that's cool. But
there's so many crazy cool things that you could just, I mean, people, the whole idea of like, they were like, oh, you could complete the game as a cheese wheel. You could be turned into a cheese wheel by a demon and then complete the last boss battle as a cheese wheel.
See, I haven't done that yet, but I believe it. I'm running. Like I'm trying to run like a mostly charisma run. So like, if I can get out of a fight by talking out of it, I will. That's pretty much how I've gotten as far as I've gotten so far.
That's a good route. I like that.
But just because it kind of gives me sillier options and like cooler cutscenes, I've stumbled across some weirder stuff. But because then I can talk to like animals and shit, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to do that shit. I don't care about fighting's fighting. I mean, it's cool, but I'm here for all the weird shit. What kind of I've already found like 2 or 3 underground things that I'm way too weak to go further in, but I'm like, all right, let's mark it on the map one day. Maybe I'll
maybe you'll come back
go to this spider cave or whatever, and it's crazy. There's so much.
The caves are really cool. I do think that, because like there's like 3 or 4 levels of caves. So it's like the spider cave, and then in the middle of that spider cave there's a giant fucking hole, and then that's a hole that goes down into the mushroom caves, and then the mushroom caves are like a whole other cave system underneath. But the cool thing about what I like about Baldur's Gate, unlike The Witcher's very open world and stuff like that, I would say Baldur's Gate's more open areas that you can always come back to.
Yeah.
Where it's like small, like, area, or they do have bigger areas the further you get into the game, but they're very contained, and then the paths are very linear to one another.
It's more like
just funnels.
It's more like a board game. I think they kind of make it feel like a video game, but a tabletop at the same. They do a good job. It's
very D&D.
Yes,
like you wouldn't just like go all over the place in D&D. Like once you're going from town to town, you're really like that's the whole. You're either going to the next town or you're going to the next dungeon, and on the way there might be a couple things that happen, but I mean, it's the medieval times, so there's not like a lot of open roads and stuff. It's very
everything's
narrow,
just what we built with horses and stuff, right? And there's a couple places that like they encourage you to kind of cheese, like if you've got your jumps, if you if you can jump far enough,
you have like cliffs on top and stuff like
exactly.
that.
Or if like you have a certain spell or something, maybe you can get to a different place and kind of cheese a battle or something like that. But but for the most part, it does a very good job at kind of steering you without really making it feel like they're steering you. Like it still feels open enough. Like I've never 100%. Felt like I'm being pushed in any one direction.
Right. I think it also does very good about telling you things. Like it keeps a lot of things hidden and hands off and stuff like that. But like, if you want to see everything, it will tell you everything. Yeah. Or at least give you hints and stuff like that. I mean, you do have to pay attention, of course, but like, like people might miss the quest from the cow at the beginning of the game, right? Because they didn't know they can speak to animals. But if you pay attention and you go over to the cows and stuff, one of them's making a weird noise, and then
Right.
You're like, oh, what happens if I do that? Oh, well, this guy's talking about animal talking potions. Oh, I got the potion, and then I talk to the cow.
Exactly.
And then, it does a very good job about all of that, where...
It gives you options.
Yeah, it's very D&D of, like, it's giving you everything, and then also telling you nothing of, like... It's not saying you should be this one thing.
Mm-hmm. But it rewards creativity,
right.
I think, right?
100%. Yeah.
That's like a big thing.
The cheese wheel thing, fucking the bear.
Right.
Like,
yeah, there's so many weird things you can do, but, like, if you just want to straight up play through without too much adventuring, you can do that, and it won't prohibit you. I like that, like, there's so much hidden lore, like... within the items and stuff.
Right, because it's all D&D.
But if you pick it up, it actually, like, triggers new things. Just because I read a book and now it triggers, like, a new objective.
Right.
And it's like, wow, it's just a book, like, that's kind of cool to me, too. Because that's such a small little... Some people aren't into that whole look at every single object sort of thing. And
you can get really deep into it because everything in D&D is canon.
I'm almost always... too heavy because I'm just constantly carrying lore items and books that I probably don't need and stuff, and that's a big issue. I hopefully after the first playthrough or the second one at least that won't be as big of a habit. I honestly have considered, because I've put some mods into the console games now, and a couple of them are like weight mods, like items don't weigh nothing or whatever.
That's a good call.
I'm thinking about using that just to kind of like
it's
just one less thing you have to think about because like.
Right, I mean...
I get it, but...
It's a game that you want to pick up everything.
Yeah,
like, for sure. I mean, you can... A lot of the stuff is worth selling and not...
That's what I usually do.
I
mean, most of the stuff, like, I have... if I have 12 maces, I'll sell 11 of them.
Right.
Keep one at camp. Now I have one to collect, and then, the rest make money or whatever.
Right.
But...
yeah, I agree,
still,
though.
I want one of everything.
Right. I hate encumbrance. I've been We'll talk about my game, but I've been figuring the same thing has happened in one of my games too. Of like, I really want to turn this off, but I can't.
Yeah, that's probably one of my least favorite features. Like, I'd rather deal with hunger, I think, than encumberment.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'd just rather like. I don't know, take more damage or something. Like,
maybe, yeah.
Like, if there's some... Let me carry as many health potions as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if they two-shot me, like, that's fine. Like, but, like, at least let me be able to, like, heal out of it. And, like...
Yeah.
But with D&D and stuff like that, a lot of that is from that game.
Mm-hmm.
From the board game of... I think it's all the way up to 5th gen. Yeah. So also everything lore-wise as well as in the game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, everything from, like, the 1970s, is canon in Baldur's Gate 3.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they do a very good job of, like, tying it all in together. And this is the third one in the series. Larian didn't make the first two. Those were old BioWare games. But, there's characters from those first two games in Baldur's Gate 3 and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think even in Neverwinter Nights and stuff like... There's a bunch of D&D Baldur's Gate likes. Baldur's Gate 3 is just like... It's not the first big one. Like, Baldur's Gate 2 at the time was super popular, but that was like... I think 98 is when that came out. It's very old at this point. It's been a long time. I might be wrong about that. That might be like Baldur's Gate 1. But it's still been 20-something years. At least,
right, yeah.
And yeah, this is the first one that got big, but also this isn't the first Larian game that is highly praised in this genre either. The Divinity series is amazing. And that game does split co-op everything like Baldur's Gate wise, and it is just as good. Maybe a little bit more archaic because it is their own lore, it's their own universe kind of thing.
Right.
but it follows, at the time, it would be 4th gen D&D rules and stuff like that. If you like Baldur's Gate 3, I recommend Divinity 2 all day.
Okay.
Divinity 1 might be a little bit harder to go back to, but it's equally just as good.
Right.
Divinity 2 is definitely better and more streamlined, but it's... Yeah, dude, those games are great. Both of them are great. And they're, split screen co-op, just like Baldur's Gate. I would recommend Baldur's Gate 2 as well, but it's a little bit harder to play. I don't think you can play that on consoles. I think it's PC only.
Well, it makes sense if it's that old, yeah.
Yeah. They ported other D&D games to consoles and stuff later. Like, Neverwinter Nights is on consoles, so... Baldur's Gate 2, maybe. But, yeah. I'm glad you're liking it. What act are you on now? Do you know?
I'm pretty sure I'm still in the first act.
Yeah. It'll tell you.
Because there's like one part where it's like, hey, if you enter this...
Yeah.
It's really hard. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to keep doing my exploring then. Because there's so much I haven't touched yet. I'm not even worried about getting to that.
Right. Yeah. So that is the Act 2 door.
Okay. That's what I figured.
That's how they gate the 3 acts of the game are just doors saying, hey, this is the point of no return.
Right.
This is harder, but also if you leave this area, you're getting rid of all the quests because all your characters and everything are going to move.
Yeah, to the next progressive thing, yeah.
Yeah, start new day cycles and stuff like that, because a lot of the other NPCs and stuff are on almost like a Hitman style pattern of like...
Right.
A lot of them have homes that they go to and sleep and then leave and like do all that stuff, and you can kill everyone and anyone, so like you can break those things and do whatever. The mechanics of that are really interesting, but also I think that's because of it's a way to gate a lot of those systems from over, because like there's so many systems running in the background of that game.
Yeah, probably.
To have like 2 whole acts worth on top of it. Also, the game was in beta forever. Right. I don't remember when it started. I think it was like 2018, 2019. But it had been a couple of years it was in beta, and that was just the first act.
Oh, wow.
So everything before that door was the beta, and then everything after came out after. So a lot of the negative reviews and stuff at the beginning of the launch of the game were for, Act 2 and 3, where they didn't have any beta testing or anything like that.
Right.
And I wonder when you get into Act 3 if, like, a lot of the... If it is a lot smoother than what people had said back then. Because, like, I mean, it wasn't, like, a lot of things, but definitely, like, frame hitches and stuff like that, because systems get so dense. I'll be interested to see where you're at.
Yeah. I'm sure that'll be a few months from now.
Right. Yeah, don't rush through it, of course. Don't burn your... It's a big game.
Yeah, and I'm such a stickler for, like, searching every little crevice, so...
Right.
I mean, who really knows?
You haven't beat Elden Ring yet, so...
Exactly, right.
And
that's a whole different thing, so...
Well, I played a game. I beat a game over the week. I got a PS5 for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been... I had opened it. I had gotten it a while ago, and I had opened it a while ago, but I hadn't played anything. I finally started, and I have beaten Silent Hill 2 Remake.
Oh, yeah, I've been seeing you post those, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, dude. What the fuck? Holy shit. What? I talked so much shit on Bloober Team. I gave them so much shit of, they're gonna fuck this up. They messed... Their last few games are mid, or arguably bad.
Yeah.
just because Silent Hill 2, the original one, is a great game doesn't mean Bloober is going to make a great game.
Right.
They fucking did it, dude. They
Nice.
made a great game. It feels fantastic to play. The combat that they've tuned quite a bit feels chunky.
Yeah.
It's definitely still a little bit awkward to get around, but it is heavy, like Dead Space heavy.
Okay.
Like James has a stomp, like you fucking crack dudes with a metal pipe or your bat with nails in it. You crack one of the mannequins over the head and they'll like fall and he does a fucking stomp on it. It's so cool. Also the guns are a lot more hitting. Like it feels like it talked about Last of Us for the way their guns feel. It feels almost like Last of Us, especially with like the shotgun.
Yeah.
Where like if they gave me only shotgun ammo through that whole game, I would have been so much happier because I would have just used that thing. But you get 3 guns in the game. I guess spoilers for that. It's a 20-something-year-old game. I'm not gonna get into crazy story spoilers. But yeah, you get your pistol, your shotgun, and your hunting rifle.
Right.
And the pistol is fine. I mean, it's your first gun, and it is a little squirrely. You can aim down sights, but it's not like a first-person aim down sights.
Right.
It's like the Resident Evil, like the reticle, just like kind of gets more zoomed in. I don't remember if you can hip fire as much. But that James is not a sharpshooter kind of guy, and this game makes it very clear through the whole thing that James is just a regular fucking dude.
Nice.
And in fact, maybe not even a regular dude, maybe a dude who's very mentally incapable of comprehending everything that's going on around him.
Nice.
The acting is incredible in this game. Everything is brand new voices and stuff like that. It's all recasted. Everything's mo-capped and are real actors.
That's cool.
Yeah, and you can tell it's the movement and like the way that they like gesture with their hands or stuff like that. The way that their faces look when they emote and stuff. It's all there. Like if you feel it. There's the Angela scene in the game, which is probably the most heaviest scene, and like her reaction to the end of that moment was like one of the best scenes in video games I've seen in a long time.
Oh, nice.
Just the way that she emotes and like is screaming in agony and pain and emotion and like crying and like is happy but not happy and confused and like everything gets across with her. I really liked her character the most out of everyone. There's 3 kids that you run into throughout the game. There's Eddie, Laura, and Angela, and they all have their own kind of things. Eddie is like a bullied fat kid kind of thing. Laura is... I might have to replay the game a little bit to understand more of what her deal is, but she was in the hospital at the same time your wife is. And then Angela is like just some random girl. She's the first person you run into on your way into Silent Hill. And she's like, I'm looking for my mother. And then from that point on, you just keep running into her where she's looking in all these different places. I don't like Eddie at all. I hate his vibe. And this game made it very clear of like, you just get a fucked feeling from him, like from the get-go. Like everything every emotion that they wanted you to feel in the first game, and maybe because it's a PS2 game or whatever, it has that disconnect for some people.
Yeah.
You feel it in this game. The tension when you meet Eddie and stuff like that, of like, it's not even like an aggressive tension, but it's very uncanny and stuff. It's very his whole character he feels like he's gaslighting you the whole time, and you immediately get that feeling.
Yeah.
Laura is like very secretive, like, you know, she was in the hospital with your wife at some point, but you don't know why, and like she doesn't tell you why, but she has this like relationship with your dead wife. And the whole point of James going into Silent Hill is that his wife died 3 years ago. He gets a letter from his wife saying, go back to Silent Hill. Then that's the start of the game. And that's all laid out at the beginning. He has an opening monologue of like, Mary died 3 years ago.
Right.
But did she? I got a letter from her saying, go back to Silent Hill. So here I am. Yeah. And then it fades out and then lets you move the character. And then, 3 or 4 minutes in, maybe 5 minutes in, you meet Angela. And then so on and so forth in the different areas. The game is significantly longer than the original. The original is like 8 hours long, I think.
Yeah. This
one is closer to like 20.
Wow.
15, 20. And it doesn't feel like it at all.
Yeah.
I don't know what they changed. I guess areas are bigger and you have like more motion in this game. Like the original one is fixed cameras and tank controls, like old Resident Evil. This one is like more modern Resident Evil, of like, I would say just like the Resident Evil 2 remake, of like, you know, they expand the hallways a bit. You know, you have like full 3D motion and stuff like that. But it doesn't feel like they added much. There's probably some story sequences that I don't remember as well, or maybe some elongated scenes that add more context.
Right.
But shit, dude. And like I said, I beat it. The end of the game hits just as hard as the original ending.
Yeah.
Maybe that was part of the extension, too. I think that ending bit might be a little bit longer.
Oh, interesting.
The way that they build that up.
Yeah.
Because the game is very nonchalant about death, suicide, like, sexual assault is a very big part of the game.
Yeah.
Like, the game goes through some heavy, heavy shit, and it focuses on the nonchalantness of those things and the way that that nonchalantness affects the person, or affects the victim, or affects the person causing these heinous things and acting nonchalant. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of like ulterior motive kind of thing and reading into people's emotions.
Oh yeah.
And stuff. I haven't talked about Maria, but Maria is this hooker, stripper, prostitute character that James obviously had something with at some point.
Yeah.
But he doesn't remember her, she doesn't remember him, or is that the case? Who knows? It seems like with James, he's had this traumatic event in his life, and he just, after that traumatic event happened, he kind of just wiped all of the memory of this place away.
Oh, wow.
And it's not very clear if they ever lived in Silent Hill or how close they lived to Silent Hill. But he obviously doesn't live there anymore, and it's a place that they would visit at some point.
Right, they knew about it.
Yeah, it was like their special place is what they called it.
Yeah.
but this game makes it seem like he was a reoccurring,
Right.
visitor to this place. But is this place even real? Like, is Silent Hill even a real place? It talks about that a lot, of like, is this just a passing doorway into the afterlife? Is this like a purgatory almost? Is this straight up hell?
Yeah. Just walked in now.
Yeah. Honestly, like, that's a lot of like what I was talking about throughout the whole game. It feels like you're going deeper into it. Like, every single thing that you do feels like you're going deeper. Whether it's opening a doorway or going downstairs or going upstairs, like, it feels like somehow you're always getting deeper.
Yeah.
It does a very good job of like having this open area and then funneling it into you and then bringing you down something. Whether it's a super long hallway. If you've played Silent Hill 2, you know about the infinite hallway scene. Or there's the staircase that leads to nowhere. It feels like you're walking for 2 or 3 minutes downstairs.
Oh wow.
It's fucked up.
That's good.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that feeling that it builds up.
Right.
All the way up to the end. And it doesn't let go all the way up to the end. And then, I mean, the ending that I got is the natural ending. We've talked about the crazy endings before, but I don't know if that was on the podcast, so I'm not going to spoil that. But the natural ending is that it funnels you back to where you started, and then it's like, it's time to go home, but are you really going home? Because you kind of just like fade back into the fog.
Right.
And yeah. From the minute you start, like, you're parked and like, it's the scene of him looking out into the lake.
Yeah.
And he's like, my wife died, and he's like standing next to the car. You immediately go into the woods, and then it's like you immediately feel swallowed by trees and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And then those woods bring you into a gated graveyard, and then that graveyard is super small.
Right.
And then from that graveyard, it brings you into like a little farm town area, and it feels even smaller because that's like somebody's personal property.
Right.
And it does super good. Yeah, I love what they did with everything. This is definitely the definitive version of this game.
Yeah.
There are several versions of this game now. Like, Silent Hill 2 is different than Silent Hill 2 Restless Dreams, which is like the extended Xbox version. Because the original one came out on PS2, and then it would come out on Xbox a little bit later. The Xbox version is back compat on a 360.
That's cool.
But it's now like $150.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a lot more expensive than it used to be. If you want to play an inferior controlling game as well.
Right. That's the other.
Yeah.
We've already done so much to it now.
Yeah, this game is so cool. I didn't even talk about sound design. Like, sound design in this game is so crazy. I'll pull up the Silent Hill 2 noise. I turned off the controller because it just fucking blares noise in every game. But through Silent Hill 2, I kept it on. And it does, like, the radio noise. It's like radio frequency static.
Yeah.
And then it also sounds like a Geiger counter clicking, but it comes through the controller when you get enemies close to you.
Yeah.
Silent Hill 2 controller noise.
Like when you walked around Fallout, kind of.
Yeah. This is every single time. You could be 20 feet away from an enemy. You could be 2 feet away from an enemy. This noise is blaring through your controller. And it does, like, it'll start building as you get closer to an enemy, but once it knows that you're there, it's fucking full blast, like, cracking. It feels like the controller's breaking almost, because it has all the haptics in it.
Right.
So it feels like...
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy feeling. But, like, when it is quiet, it has, like... It's not silenced. It's, like... It feels like air tone.
Like emptiness?
Yeah, and, like, a metal facility. Almost always. Even when you're out in the open city and stuff, it feels like room tone constantly.
Oh, okay.
Like, the hum of electricity, or, like...
Oh, yeah.
Like, it does... It has, like, this underlying feel of, like, not giving up on you. Like, it never lets go, even when it does give you brevity. It still feels like...
Just this caustic glue.
Yeah. It's a very oppressive game. In the best of ways, in the worst of ways, too. I think this game is... excellent. I have no notes for Bloober Team. I would really like them to do 3. Or 1. 1 would probably be the better choice out of the 2, but I personally really like 3 and 4.
Yeah.
1 is also really good, though. 1 is probably the one that's needed because it's a PS1 game.
Right. And they already did 2. You might as well start with 1. Right.
And I forgot what the dude's name in the first one is. Maybe Alex? I don't think it's James. Because in the movie fucks up my memory of those games where, like, the movie is James, but he's also the dad of the girl in 3. And that's not the case in the game at all. Right. Yeah, I think... Sean Bean plays him or something. Anyways, that doesn't matter. But yeah, 3. I would really like them to do it. We already know that Bloober Team is working on a different horror game called, like, Crosis or something like that. It was like the underwater astronaut looking thing. I don't remember if you remember that. That was like Summer Games Fest when they announced that.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'll look it up real quick. Because it's not like... It's definitely one that I want to play. I'll look up Bloober. Kronos, that's what it is. Crosis is
okay.
Crosis is a band I listen to.
I think I remember this.
But this, we were talking about, I was like, this feels kind of Silent Hill-esque on what they're going for. I really hope that they can tell a better story than The Medium or The Layers of Fear. I want to give them as much credit for Silent Hill 2 as possible, but Silent Hill 2 was already somebody else's story. Yeah. And a lot of those hard-hitting moments and stuff like that were already written into the game, even though they helped enhance it.
This is that game that feels like a Dead Space or like Fallout.
Right, because it has the
not Fallout. What's Big Daddy from?
Bioshock. Yeah. But he has the health on his back.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Something about playing chess with an old lady in a suit. Major Bioshock vibes.
Right. Well, it's like a diver suit too.
Yeah. Yep. That's like Little Daddy right there.
Right.
Big Daddy, the beginning. But like all the floating and stuff has like space vibes.
Yeah. It's very...
And then this creature is very Dead Spacey.
I'm getting a lot of like... I think we're gonna go a little bit more into the Lovecraft side of things.
Yeah.
Like maybe some Thing type of stuff, but I'm feeling, I don't know, like if they're gonna get all like psychology based stuff in space, I think Old Gods, Lovecraft might be the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of cool tech in here, though.
I mean, I hope real chess is involved. That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
That'd be a cool twist.
Yeah, or just be able to play it, like, play online chess. But it's like, you're in space, but gravity's like water. It's a really cool planet.
Yeah.
I thought he was underwater the whole time because everything was floating, but it's not. I wonder if there will be like a jumping mechanic or something with that then.
So we're like floating. You would think so. If the gravity's a little lower, you should be able to do
Yeah,
something.
but who knows? They might not give you
Also,
that
how do you
type
see
of
out of that
movement.
helmet?
Right. Yeah, that's what I was
What's going
thinking
on?
too. What's going on there? What's
Please
going on?
explain that.
The
That's why
vent-
it's third person, because
Yeah.
they're like, we can't actually give you a HUD that would explain it. So. But yeah, I mean, no, I do remember that trailer. That does look cool. It looked like an interesting. It doesn't really tell you what the fuck's going on, but
Right.
it does look cool. So.
I'd be surprised if we have no HUD. Their games don't really have. I don't think Silent Hill 2 has a HUD
Yeah.
at all through that whole game.
I don't mind
it
no
tells you your ammo, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I don't mind lack of HUD.
Yeah.
Just a few simple
Right.
little things or something.
And they really haven't made a game that needed it. A lot of
Right.
Up until Silent Hill 2, their games for the most part were walking sims.
Yeah.
So, but if they're going the Dead Space route, like the whole Dead Space thing is that it also doesn't have a HUD.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like portrayed on his armor, like he
Right.
has the health thing on the back of his neck.
I
The
really
gun
like that,
Has
yeah.
the module that tells you all your ammo. So that it's kind of like the whole motif of that.
Yeah.
I will be super interested to see what happens with this because this is definitely their next thing.
Yeah.
Also with Silent Hill 2, we know, or with Silent Hill in general, we know of, is it 2 property? We know 2 for sure that are coming out now.
Yeah.
They had announced 4 games all at once. One was Silent Hill Ascension, which was the mobile live watch along thing.
Right.
That was horrible. Or I guess they announced 5. They announced Silent Hill A Short Message,
Mm-hmm.
which you played.
Yeah.
You said was really bad.
Trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still on the PlayStation thing. And Kenny was like, "Oh, we should play this." I'm like, "No, it sucks. Don't play it.
Yeah, I'll play it soon
Don't
just
play
to
it.
play it, but yeah.
It's just a running simulator."
Right. But then they announced Silent Hill 2 Remake.
Yeah.
Then after that, they announced Silent Hill Townfall
Hmm.
from Annapurna, as well as the team that made a game called Observation.
Okay.
Observation was you play as an AI computer looking through cameras on a space station. It's a space horror ship game thing. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I forgot what that studio is called. They've made a couple of other weird space horror type of things that are more... They're not your typical type of game. They're more... They're eccentric, I guess.
It's a specific...
Yeah,
specific style.
I don't think Townfall will be like Observation, but Observation is definitely like there's nothing like that. So that would be cool. But then the big one is Silent Hill F.
Yeah, we saw that 2 years ago.
Right, and they were like, this is being written by a guy who writes creepypastas, and the music's from somebody who does SoundCloud music, and like, it's very a lot of up and coming artists, or not up and coming artists, but a lot of people that are prominent in their spaces
Right.
of like horror media. I'm definitely the most interested in that because it's the first time as well that Silent Hill doesn't take place in Silent Hill.
Right.
It's
Silent Hill's expanding.
Right. It's a 1960s Japanese story.
Yeah.
About a teenage girl and a murder mystery, and that's about the extent of what we know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that. There's a lot of like mushroom, and like rotting,
a lot of like floral,
fungi,
a lot of plant symbolism, music symbolism,
and that's a lot different from previous Silent Hills as well, which is very
the opposite.
Yeah, very rusty, metal, meaty,
foggy.
Bloody,
you don't really see anything beautiful.
Right.
Or anything at all, really. So
right. It's all about, like, beauty dying. And, like, that's kind of, like, the whole... I mean, Silent Hill 2 is your wife getting sick, and she was this beautiful woman, and then at the end of it, she's, like, fucking covered in scabs and, like... fucking snot coming out of her nose and like her hair's falling out and shit. Like,
yeah, I feel like it's always been about like just the dry, arid fogginess. Never anything with life or growth.
Yeah.
Of any sort. So it would be interesting to see. Yeah, it would be like how they're twisting the story.
Yeah.
How they're relocating Silent Hill. You know.
Right, and it'll be the first time, I guess, if you count Ascension or whatever. I don't. It is technically a new Silent Hill, but it's the first time in a long time that we're gonna have a new mainline Silent Hill game. Fuck, I can't. What was the last one? Downfall, I think, was the last one on the PS3 and 360.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Downfall. Maybe there's Homecoming, Downpour, and Downfall are the three that came out during the Wii 360 era.
Okay.
They're all... Actually, Homecoming and Downpour are probably not as expensive as the other ones. Downpour was the last one I remember getting highly reviewed. It's definitely it has like a 7 something versus like 6s, you know?
Yeah.
Downpour is fucking expensive, dude. That's like, I want to say the PS2 copy last time I looked was like $550.
Wow.
And then the Wii copy was like $80.
So such a big jump.
Right.
Still.
Right. Yeah, the PS2 copy is very rare and very hard to find. Yeah. So like playing all those games is very hard. So I wonder, Konami's been doing a lot with like legacy collections and stuff like that. They did do a Silent Hill HD collection during the PS3 era as well, but like whatever they did to the emulation, like diluted the fog so you could see everything.
Oh, really?
And like
it kind of takes it away. Yeah.
Right, and it was like much brighter than what it was supposed to be and stuff. Like it's a very bright game compared to like what this Silent Hill 2 is, where like there's parts in this Silent Hill 2 where if you don't have a flashlight, you won't be able to see shit.
Oh, shit.
Like, nothing. And that was not the case with that remake. I never played Silent Hill 2 during that remake. I bought that remake to play Silent Hill 3. Because it was 2 and 3.
Oh, nice.
But it wasn't... The first one wasn't on there, and 4 wasn't on there. So I'd imagine Konami will start trying to port these. I mean, it would be dumb not to.
Yeah.
The Castlevania collections are doing so well. Same thing with the Metal Gear collection that they put out recently. So I think Silent Hill will get the same treatment. I just think those games are a lot more intensive and probably need a little bit more care. I mean, they could port it as as is, but I don't think they want to fuck up, like, the fog again.
Right, yeah.
Something as small as that. Or as, I guess, as big as that. It's kind of like one of the main characters of the game is the fog. But Silent Hill F isn't going to have fog. Or will it? Who knows?
That's true, yeah. I mean, what are they going to do? The fog might be replaced with, like, pollen. Or so there's so much plant life.
Sakura flowers.
Yeah. Just tons of flowers and pollen in the air.
Yeah, there's a lot of pink petals and stuff in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
That would be a very nice looking game.
Yeah. I'd play that trailer too because we're talking about it so much. But
yeah, I wish there was more.
Right.
Since then.
They have done other Silent Hill directs as well.
Yeah.
Since then, but yeah, they haven't talked about F since that first initial reveal.
Yeah, this trailer and then that trailer.
Silent Hill gives an update on Silent Hill F. It's probably like, oh, we'll talk about it eventually.
Was it literally a day ago? Or?
2 years ago is that's somebody. I think that's just somebody in the rumor mill. Yeah, Silent Hill F trailer 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm waiting on this one and then that other one by that guy who makes movies, whatever that's called.
Right, so there is the movies that are coming as well.
No, not the Silent Hill movies. You know the guy who usually makes movies but he's making a game, the horror movie from Key and Peele?
Oh, yeah, OD is coming with Kojima.
Yes, that's the other one I'm waiting on. Like, where's that at?
Right.
So it looks a little foggy.
Yeah, I guess it is a little foggy. There's your metal pipe. No, I guess there's a lot of roots and stuff like that, but it's definitely like
veins almost.
Yeah.
But that'll be a cool like different, like the nature's kind of fighting back.
Yeah, it is. I guess it. No, it's. I was gonna say that looks like meat blobs, but I think it's just cobblestone covered in the roots. I remember these plants feeling a little bit more like thinner, but these are like thick cactus-like plants that are around her. Like
they're almost like coral.
Yeah. Like there's some flowers with like thin petals and stuff, but yeah, a lot of like those. Yeah, I wonder. It's like nature taking over.
Yeah, it really doesn't tell you too much, but it looks cool.
It looks great. Yeah, that's the creepypasta dude. I forgot. She's also somebody. That guy is the original dude. Yeah. Very interested. Also, that studio is pretty new, I want to say. I don't know what else they've done. Here's Townfall. While we're at it, Townfall was even more of a teaser. This had like nothing for us other than like. This is just vibes, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably now watching it with like Silent Hill 2 eyes.
That's good, I like it. You know what, I think you're right. I think we've done something so awful. We are stuck here in this
I never
place,
played Stories Untold.
being judged by these
I think that's
people.
an FMV game.
But for you, I think it's more than that.
No Code, that's the team.
I think you're here for some other reason.
Like, I know that name before.
When you figure that out.
Yeah, that doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you anything. But
Nice beach.
It seemed FMV. Like, I think that might be the vibe that we're getting at here. This might be an FMV game. Because this doesn't look rendered.
You're to be punished.
Maybe it is.
That's good, I like it. You know what, I think you're right. I think we've done something
fake?
so awful.
That looks like a real radio.
We are stuck here
and
in
a
this
real
place.
phone. This all looks like
people.
real stuff. This could be rendered.
But for you, I think it's more than that.
But it looks like an actual prop on a desk.
I think you're here for some other reason. And I don't want to be anywhere near you.
Yeah, it's definitely a prop on a desk. I think this might be an FMV game.
That'd be sick.
That would be kind of cool. I wonder. And, I mean, maybe that would be better than the Silent Hill Ascension thing that they were doing. With, like, trying to interact with a live video. If you just go the FMV route, you kind of get what you wanted there, and then you don't need a live feed of racial slurs backing it up.
That's true.
Yeah. I still the trauma emote is like one of my favorite things, or it's like the word trauma with like rainbows
those emotes. That was such a weird idea too. Like, I don't even understand why that was even like who thought of that.
So dumb. Yeah. Other than that, I beat Silent Hill 2, and then after that, I have started Demon Souls remake, one remake to another. That was the game that made me turn off the controller noises, because that also started blasting noises, and I was like, this is not what I want from this game.
Yeah.
All of like the sword swings and stuff started coming out of the controller, so like every time a sword clash, instead of it coming through my ears, it was like
weird, yeah,
coming through the controller. And I was like,
sometimes you don't need that. Like, sometimes it's necessary for noise.
Yeah.
But I don't need to hear every clang of the...
Right. Yeah, it was like every clang, every single swoosh from like a magic spell or something. Mm-hmm. Everything was through that controller, and I was like, this is a lot.
Right.
I love the haptics on the PS5 controller. People have sang songs about it now, you know. It's been out for 4 or 5 years, but I do love it a lot, but the noises I can't deal with not on every game.
Right.
So I started playing Demon Souls. It's good. I like it. It's definitely not Elden Ring. I feel like now that I've played Elden Ring, especially beating it, I think it's only been like 2 months or so since I've finally finished it. It has spoiled me. Like, the way that game feels is definitely the best out of all of them.
Right.
Besides Sekiro. Sekiro is definitely my favorite out of all of them, just because of how fast you can move in that game. But Demon Souls is very slow, and is very chunky. It's very, like, you gotta think about, you know, putting up your shield and, like, the swings that you're taking and how many swings you can take in your endurance bar and stuff like that.
Right.
It's a lot less forgiving as well. It is a mean fucking game. This game does not want you to progress at all.
Yeah.
It does the best it can to make it so you cannot progress. But in a fun way. I think it's very rewarding, being like, oh, there was a hidden enemy behind that doorway, so I'm going to run back through, and now I know. And then I make it, like, 10 steps farther, and then I find another enemy, you know? And then do the run again. Elden Ring definitely spoils you with the placement of bonfires and stuff like that.
Right.
Because they put them right in front of doors and stuff like that. Demon Souls is the opposite. This is the first time they ever had this type of system before and stuff. Demon Souls, there's one bonfire for the whole section.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's fucked. There are shortcuts and stuff like that, but they're some of them can be pretty deep. And that's not going to save you that much time on a boss run.
And you have to, like, know where to find them and stuff, too, I imagine.
Right.
They're not just, like, obvious all the time.
Right,
Yeah.
100%. Some of them... this game is a lot more obtuse than the others. It's not... The areas are bigger, for sure, but I wonder if that's the remake doing its magic versus the actual original. But it's still, like, there's still, like, it does the Silent Hill 2 thing where, like, it has, like, big open zones in the thing, but then it also has very small,
right,
like, condensed areas. Unlike Dark Souls and Demon Souls and all of the other ones, unlike Dark Souls and Bloodborne and stuff, Demon Souls is level-based. So you go back to your hub world and each, like, just like Bloodborne with the graveyard, like, headstones, you can travel to each section of the level. Rather than it being an open world that you're traveling back to with sections, it's just each section is just its own zone.
Okay.
So imagine like a Mario 1-1, 1-2, 1-3
right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of people talk about the levels in that game. There's 5 headstones and each one has like 4 or 5 levels to it.
Okay.
And I do like that. It makes it so you have a little bit more variety in what you want to start out with.
Yeah.
Because each headstone or each biome is very different from each other. Like,
okay.
There's the beginning zone, which is the castle area, and then there is it's like a desert castle almost, a different kind of castle, but it's all like desert and like dry sand area. It's all smithing. It's more of a mine than anything. It's just like the outside looks like a castle. And then there's the prison, which is like this giant like labyrinth prison section.
No. Okay.
And then there's the rainy, stormy place.
Okay.
That's the place. That's what I could call the best I can call that. And then there's like the poison depth zone where like it's all like going underground and it's all poison,
right.
like Blight Town from the first Dark Souls.
Okay.
And that whole thing is like you're walking on like 2x4s and like enemies are running at you from both areas and you're trying not to fall off
into the fucking acid. Yeah.
Yeah, that area sucks. But I'm having a lot of fun. I've done 2 episodes in that, so it's probably like 5 or 6 hours now. It'll probably take me a good chunk of change to get through this one. It's definitely not Elden Ring chunk of change, but I think it will take me a little bit longer than what it probably would have if I was more, if I knew this game more.
Right, yeah.
And I've seen people play this game a bunch and stuff like that, but now actually having my hands on this remake, it feels a lot different than what I thought it would.
I bet, yeah.
The original Demon Souls has 4-way directional rolling. None of the others do. All the other ones are 8-way, up to Elden Ring I think is 16-way directional rolling.
Oh, wow.
So like this game, the bosses still act like they do for your 4-way directional rolling, but now you have more momentum and stuff. I think that can kind of fuck you in some ways. Because you'll dodge into things a lot easier and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think I've fought enough. A lot of the fights that I have done so far are more gimmicky. I haven't fought in like a lot of the big like get good moments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Demon Souls has a lot more of like the first big one is like the Iron Giant. The Iron Knight, I forgot what it's called. But it's this big ass knight, and he's in iron armor, and he's just tanking every hit. and you have to chop at his ankles until the armor on his ankles breaks, and then you can finally like get enough damage on him to knock him over, and then it's like a whole. You have to do this whole like. It's almost like a Mario boss. You gotta do it 3 times and stuff like that to get enough damage.
Right.
And then there's the Adjudicator, which is another big boy boss, and he has a sword sticking out the side of one of his stomachs and stuff, and you gotta smack at that until he knocks over, and you smack at his head a few times, and then, it's same thing for both of those. There are non-gimmick fights in this game, so I'm really excited to get to one of those where I actually have to, like, think about it.
Have a plan, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of this game is, like, guys that can just kill you in 2 hits, but there's not, like, a lot of fight to it.
Right.
Like, Elden Ring, I can hold my own, like, parrying and stuff like that, and this game, there hasn't been a lot of opportunity to learn that. It teaches you a couple of, like... It teaches you how to parry at the beginning and throws a couple of, like, these knights with blue eyes at you throughout, like, the first couple of sections. But really, that's the only time that is worth parrying. And, like, you parry them and then you one-shot them. And then that's the whole bit with them. But, like, you're not learning, like, an enemy pattern or anything like that.
Right.
I haven't really had to have that moment yet. Also, the first big boss of the game is called the Phalanx, which is in different other games as well. I think it's in Dark Souls 1 in the DLC. But that's also it's also kind of a gimmicky boss. It's like a whole bunch of little blobs with armor around their faces, and they all make a big blob. So they all cover, like, armor, and then they all pull apart and stuff like that. And you just gotta, like, keep pulling them apart and doing damage to them. But they give you a whole bunch of fire stuff at the beginning, and then because of that, I destroyed them. Like,
just light them on fire.
Yeah, it was like less than 2 minutes. Like, just tore through that boss.
Nice.
But that's the whole point. It teaches you, like, different elemental attacks and stuff like that.
Right, you're supposed to be on the lookout for that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That first little area teaches you a lot of, like, the ropes and everything.
Right.
There is a kind of like a good evil type of system underlying this whole game.
Oh, really?
I forgot what the actual name of it is, but basically each area has different nodes, or every single world has different nodes telling you the state of, like, what the world is. When you open the thing up, it'll be like, this is the rainy place, and then it has a little white ball next to it, and then that white ball can get more white or more black, depending on things that you do.
Right.
And the world state changes in each of those areas, depending on how black or how white they are.
That's pretty cool.
Right. And each one is like, if you kill NPCs or die a lot, it turns black.
It darkens. That's cool.
And then if you do more quests and heal people and do certain things, it'll get more light. So there's like this whole dynamic of that that's very obtuse, that it's never been in any other Souls game before. But it's like the beginning area has a gate that's locked. Yep. You can't go into it, but if you have, like, a good world state, it'll be open for you.
Oh, okay.
And then in the second area, there's, like, a little... it's like a Bloodborne-looking old god kind of thing, but it only appears if the world state is at its best.
Oh, wow.
So, like, there's some give... but no matter what you start at, it's at its middle. So depending on what you do from the get-go depends on how...
That's cool.
Yeah.
It definitely opens up the varieties. That's cool.
Yeah. And you can grind it as well. Like, the fastest way to get a black rating is just jumping off the edge of
That's funny, yeah.
Over and over again, or going and finding like one of the shop owners and killing them real quick.
Just murking them, yeah.
Yeah. And this game, unlike Elden Ring makes it so you can't kill a lot of the NPCs and stuff like that. Everybody's on the table for this game.
Really?
Everybody. And then some of them are secret bosses, like in Bloodborne and stuff like that. If you can get in some pretty nasty fights with these NPCs,
really?
if you provoke them. Yeah, I wonder if you can fight the Firekeeper, or I think it's the Handmaiden in this, or no, that's Elden Ring.
Yeah.
It's something maiden. It's one of the maidens. They're all vaguely named similar.
Yeah.
In all the games, but I wonder if you can fight her, because in Dark Souls you can fight the Firekeeper, and she is fucking mean.
Yeah.
So I wonder. Maybe one day I'll get into it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Just kill everyone. That's kind of what I want to do with Baldur's Gate. I want to do like a kill everyone run, if that's possible, you know.
So there is one thing when you start Baldur's Gate, it gives you all your character classes, and there's one class that says do not play this unless you know this game. And it's like merciless killer or something like that.
I don't remember. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, but
I'll look it up real quick. But that is the whole character is like burdened by the blight of like he just wants to murder everything.
Oh, interesting. Oh yeah, I think there's like a psychotic voice in your head that plays the whole time or something like that. Like it's supposed to be like, yeah, I think I saw that, but I knew I wanted to be a bard from the beginning because charisma and instruments, you know. So I may not even choose that for that run, just because I think it'd be funnier to be
the Dark Urge,
not burdened. But yeah, that did look interesting.
Yeah,
I definitely want to try one where I'm just like, I don't need you people, just murder everyone and get to the game. But I need to obviously see how things progress and how I would go about that. It definitely wouldn't be easy blind, like not knowing the story at all, you know?
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely a route I want to try as well. Just like, none of your stories are important. I just want to get this thing out of my eye, so I'm killing everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Dark Urge is very much that. I think it might even be more selfish than that, where like, I don't even think... I mean, I guess you could play the character that cares about getting the thing out of your eye, but I think the whole idea of the Dark Urge is that you just want to kill everything.
Right.
So, like...
It probably has its own unique storyline or dialogue and stuff like that.
Right.
Which is another reason why I'd want to play that. It'd be funny to, like, try to play that character but be passive as well, you know? Like, fight the urge the whole time. Or be, like, the nicest character, like a bard or something, and then just be, like, murderous the whole time.
Right. So there's the other side of that, which is the paladin. Has a oath to keep. And there's, like, a whole oath breaker storyline as well if you're a paladin that breaks.
See, that's the other thing, too. There's so many different characters that have, like, their own unique things that add to the game, too. It's like, how do I even...
Right. Yeah, it's all D&D lore.
I'll literally never be able to play this game the amount of times that it's required to see everything.
Yeah, or you almost... I mean, you could play it the same way every time, technically.
I wouldn't remember.
You wouldn't remember.
And honestly, but that's the other thing about it is, like, if you change the smallest thing, like even just changing your race... changes so many of the reactions and stuff, like the dialogue, like people are like, oh, I don't want to talk to a blah 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 blah.
Yeah, if you're a tiefling,
or something, like like just the like I said, like I'm a fucking short character, like a dwarf or I don't know what there's like 4 different races of short. I'm one of the shorter ones,
right?
And then like Kenya's like a dark elf or something, and like even the dialogue that we've both gotten, it's just it's crazy. Just like
dark elves are no bueno in that game.
So it's so that's like a whole nother thing. It's like
people are very racist.
Aside from there's a lot of racism in this game. I was like, oh my gosh.
Right.
But even that, like even just that change will almost change your storyline entirely.
100%. And then there's the aliens that get the Yankees, which is a whole other fucking crazy quest line. That's like, So Baldur's Gate in D&D, it seems very worldly.
Yeah.
But there's this whole side of it that's cosmic.
Yeah.
And like,
I know they keep hinting at that, like all this space stuff, and I'm like,
that's all the Get the Yankees stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, the whole beginning is them flying in on spaceships.
Yeah,
and
right.
Stuff.
And you crash land, and then you're just, all of a sudden, everyone only has bow and arrows and swords, and it's like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, because even the mind flayers, like, that are these space creatures and stuff, they have swords.
Right. There's no guns or
pistols,
pistols, lasers.
There might be a blunderbuss somewhere in the game, or there might be a pistol or like a flintlock or something like that. I'm not completely sure. But I wouldn't put that out of the question yet. There's definitely like crossbows and stuff.
Oh yeah, I have plenty of those.
But I could have sworn there might be a flintlock somewhere or something.
That would
in
make
that
sense.
Game.
Yeah,
it feels
some sort of piratey weapon.
Yeah, it feels on brand. But a lot of the time you wouldn't need it.
No, it's not that kind of game.
Right.
It's not like a first-person shooter where I'm running around. Yeah.
Yeah, in the game that you could shoot like fire out of your hands, do you really want to sling a bullet?
Right, exactly. Especially when it's turn-based. You don't... Guns aren't really... That's not for turn-based. That's like quick action.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, I get that. Definitely, but it's definitely a funny mix of like this like medieval space
combo.
It's like almost steampunk, but like a different brand of steampunk.
Right, for sure. The space stuff is really cool. And the Gith Yankees I didn't really know about up until Baldur's Gate 3. Like, I knew, like, mind flayers existed in the game and stuff like that, but, like, a lot of the space stuff I didn't know about until this game. And that was that I started diving in at my own volition of, like, reading Wikipedia pages and things like that.
Oh, nice, yeah.
But, there's some deep stuff there of, like, different dimensions and, like...
Oh, okay.
Like, stuff like that. Almost so of, like... I don't think... Because the thing with Baldur's Gate is that they've updated that game constantly since it came out.
Yeah.
They've added extra endings. They've, like, added extra characters. They've put different quests in the middle of the game. They've added dialogue options to previous quests.
Yeah.
So I wonder how far into the dimensional stuff they will get. But I would have... I mean, it could be a possibility, but it would have been cool if, like, other playthroughs were, like, multi-dimensional arguments of, like, why you would play through the game multiple times.
Oh, yeah, that would be sick.
Like that.
Like, it's different, like, it's a different dimension every time or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, where, like, there are slight variations and stuff, but...
That would be cool.
I don't know if they've been thinking that far ahead. I don't know. I don't think I've heard a person who's played this game more than once yet.
Really?
So, yeah, I don't know a lot of people that have replayed Baldur's Gate since they've beaten it.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe because it is 100+ hours. But I don't know. I mean, I get why you would because of all the different stuff, but yeah, I guess it's such a commitment.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's tough as well with this year it being... This is the year of RPGs for like for sure. This is like every month there was another 100-hour RPG. It seemed like, and starting with Like a Dragon at the beginning of the year and Shadow of the Erdtree. Like it was there's some big games. So maybe it's just there wasn't a lot of time this year for people to replay through Baldur's Gate 3.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what it's like if you play another role. I don't know if there's a new game plus. I don't know.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. That'd be really cool if there was some sort of like, you just keep everything in the chest, and they're like, oh, this is from the last Travelers or something like that. That'd be cool. But
right, yeah, because I mean, like I know plenty of people that have re-rolled characters 100 times or so. Like they start, get a few hours in, and then be like, I don't like this class, so I'm gonna do a different one.
And in actual D&D, I'm pretty sure you're allowed to take your character to a new game.
Yes,
like it's like as long as it doesn't die,
right,
quote unquote,
Yeah, that's like a lot of like the whole D&D trope gimmick is like. I mean, you could change characters every time, but, like, you've
created that entity or whatever. That is your... I think it'd be really cool if you could play the game again as the same character, just, like, stronger, and they're, like,
Right. That would be... With the way the Githyanki's work and, like, how outside of reality they are, that would fit in perfectly well. Of like reliving the last, like, and trying something different.
Yeah, I think it'd be sick. But who knows?
Yeah, the Githyanki's are really cool, man. And same thing with the Mind Flayers and stuff like that. I think it's really cool that you can double down on like the Mind Flayer magic.
Yeah.
Like the telepathy and like telekinesis and like mind control and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You can do a lot of that stuff. Yeah, I don't think that's in Baldur's Gate 2 at all or anything like that. I think that's a Baldur's Gate 3 thing specifically.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool way, like a cool creative way to like mix it up, add another element that like affects you but isn't like the same old, It's like a different type of handicap sort of thing,
And if you're playing like a charismatic character, I think a lot of those feed into that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like just being able to like read people's thoughts and things like that is like a huge
It helps a lot with like persuasion rolls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you already know a little bit more, you have the advantage. Yeah.
Right. I don't have a lot of news to talk about other than, I mean, like, there's been a lot of Switch 2 leaks over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those, a lot of, like, real ones and a lot of fake ones.
Yeah.
So I've just been kind of waiting until...
Right.
Official, but it seems like it's going to be pretty soon.
Yeah, but I think I would not be surprised if we get the announcement of, like, hey, this is the date that we're revealing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually what they do. If, like... They'll send out a tweet and be like, this is the day of the Switch 2 reveal event. And then I'd imagine that would be like a week from that tweet. But we're basically counting the days until that message gets revealed. But yeah, a lot of it is because CES is going on like this week, which is the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
They've tried to do some gaming stuff over the years, but it's very tech specific.
Right.
So a lot of the keynotes that do involve gaming are usually hardware focused.
Yeah.
So a lot of the leaks that are coming out are from third-party manufacturers that are going to be building like accessories and stuff like that.
Right.
We really don't know what the tech inside of a Switch 2 is yet, but pretty much know what the form factor is of the Switch 2. It's basically the same.
Yeah.
There are some key differences. It seems like the Joy-Cons will have a little bit more to them. Or different types of Joy-Cons. Different grip styles and stuff that you can do. And then it seems like the screen is about an inch bigger.
Okay.
And that doesn't seem a lot, but when you put the Switch versus the Switch 2 next to it, it's a big, like, on the diagonal of the screen, that's a big difference.
Yeah, it's almost like a tablet.
Right. For a handheld, that's it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's just been a lot of speculation of what the form factor means and stuff like that. People have noticed, like, an extra IR sensor on the Joy-Con. People think it's like some kind of like mouse Bluetooth thing. Like, I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
What is more likely is that what people are looking at is where the magnets are going to be.
Oh yeah.
What we did learn about the Joy-Cons is that they aren't going to have the rail slides like the previous Switch.
Right.
It's going to be magnetized.
Okay.
That was like one of the first leaks we got of this thing from like 2 years ago, is that they were working on electromagnet technology for this thing, of like these super conductive magnets that they turn on and off with an electric charge, basically. Like, once you plug it in and hit a button, it'll zap it shut, and then you undo it, and it sends a different electric charge through it, and it'll release
That's
it.
cool.
Yeah, so that'll be a huge difference. Safety-wise, I don't know what that means for Nintendo. Hyper-conductive magnets that are extremely, like, a lot stronger than your normal magnet. Seems like a recipe
magnets are pretty scary.
Yeah. There's like a recipe for some small children getting their fingers caught.
I was gonna say, one wrong move and it just like, I don't know how strong or how, like, when does the pull start? Does it need to be like firmly placed before it like locks in, or?
Yeah. So the thing that people are looking at as the magnet, it has a little like divot into it, like. So what I think is that it will have to click into place first and know that something is there.
Yeah.
So if something is in between it, it's not going to... It just won't magnetize.
Okay.
That's the way that I would think it would do it. Like
Makes
some
sense.
kind of release system like that.
Yeah.
Because I'd imagine Nintendo's thinking about that.
Yeah, I'm sure that they've put some safety precautions in mind.
Right.
Before doing it, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone figured out how to get hurt.
Right, 100%. And Nintendo wants us 30-year-olds to buy these things, but they're selling it to, like, 5-year-olds. Mm-hmm. So...
Yeah, because that's who's going to buy it. Well, not buy it, but that's who's going to play it.
Right.
It's going to be the kids. I'm just curious, like, how hard you have to yank it for the magnets to disconnect?
None. No. You would break it. That's the whole idea.
You would break it?
Yeah, so if the magnets work like how they're supposed to, it would be like just like how the other Switches, they have like a release button.
Yeah.
To get them out of the slides. This would be the same thing, but it would send an electric charge through that magnet. It being the first type of this technology for video games and stuff like that. Also, what's the life on one of those magnets?
Yeah.
I don't know. I know you can kill a magnet's like charge.
Right.
Like if you use a magnet enough and like you can kill the magnetization of it.
Yeah.
So I wonder what's the life on that.
Right.
Type of thing.
Yeah, because it really doesn't seem like you're solving a problem.
No.
Like the slide thing worked fine.
Yeah, it worked great.
I mean, yeah, every once in a while I might have slid it the wrong way, but that's user error. I'm just dumb, you know? Like, but other than that, and I mean, I imagine children are probably doing the same and breaking them every once in a while. But again, that's not because there was an issue.
Right.
With the actual system. I mean, magnets are weird. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
It's not negative necessarily, but it'll make me feel a little nervous, I guess.
Right. It's one of those things that we've never had it before, so
Right.
we won't know until we have it.
Mm-hmm.
But they are putting extra work into the Joy-Cons, which I do appreciate, because I mean that's the Switch having a hardware issue is one thing, but the Joy-Con drift saga that's not over yet is embarrassing, to say the least.
Yeah.
Of like, it's been 7 years and they still haven't fixed the issue of like the left Joy-Con over time just like giving out.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes it's the right Joy-Con, sometimes it's the left, but they almost all of them get drift eventually. And so I wonder what. I mean, people have talked about like there's also magnets holding the analog stick or some kind of sensor.
I mean, how many magnets can you have? There's only so much room in there. You know, like how many magnets can you have before there's too many magnets?
Right.
You know. Also, like how close can this with all these magnets? How close can this get to other technology? Like, I don't want to put it next to my my TV, and then I get the weird black, box or whatever on the left side of my. I don't think TVs work like that anymore.
No, I don't think they work like that
but
anymore.
Still, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the things that you're worried about would be like very minimal.
Yeah, I just grew up with magnets. Don't put close to electronics.
Right.
You know, that's been my whole life. Other than
my whole laptop is
refrigerators.
magnetic.
Is it?
Yeah. If I can stand a paperclip on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So maybe I'm just living in the '90s world.
Well, I mean, it is again. It's something that we've never had to do.
Right.
The electrocharge magnet is one of those things. It won't work unless if it has
an actual
that charge.
Okay.
So that's the whole. I forgot. It's some type of like NASA technology or something.
Okay.
Like
nice.
Yeah, it's like high end, like space tech stuff. The analog sensor has been in like Hyperkin controllers and other third-party controllers for a little bit.
Okay.
I just don't know what the extent of Nintendo's Joy-Con will be. We just don't know what's inside of it yet.
Right.
But we can theorize that it would be like some type of magnetic sensor that would be sitting on top of it rather than it like having like a little thing to sit in.
Just like a little ball or whatever, yeah.
Right, which is how it like gets drift. It's like dirt getting caught in there and stuff like that. It having a sensor and it like sensing where you're moving will be a little bit different, where it can like not freely sit in there, but not sit in there without having a bunch of components that you would have to worry about weathering.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Joy-Con drift like sometimes would just come out of the box like that. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things that we just don't know until we have it because of,
Yeah. It'd be cool if they figured out a way to like really fix it though, because I mean, every remote, it happens. I feel like to every remote eventually, like,
right,
across consoles.
Right. Thankfully my Xbox controller is still great. Same thing with my 360 controller.
I started getting one on my left stick on my Xbox remote. Like I'll try playing like Black Ops, and you're like aiming and then it'll like drift way off to the right or whatever.
Yeah.
Like when you're trying to like, like you're just trying to turn a corner and rotate your camera a little bit. And next thing you know, you're like turning way to you're basically turned behind you now.
Right.
And yeah, it's almost impossible to play Black Ops.
Oh,
that's one of the few games that actually like require that like fast time sort of movement. So it hasn't really affected any other games that I've played.
If it's just moving up and down, I try punching it in and then clicking it out.
I've tried a couple things. I might take it apart and see if maybe I think something just like snapped inside. It's an older
remote,
so
Thankfully, 360 or Xbox controllers, at least for the Xbox One and stuff, are a lot cheaper now.
Yeah.
And I forgot, is it Power A? I think the Power A controllers, the wired ones, are actually pretty fucking good.
That's what I prefer anyways. I prefer using a wired remote.
Yeah.
Anyways.
If the PlayStation wire was longer, I would keep it on. But
we keep ours plugged in to... we have an extension cord by the couch, and I just keep it plugged in, like right there. And as long as I don't get crazy with it, it's pretty much just plugged in right there and almost always powered.
That's a good call. I should do that.
Because, yeah, I can't stand just all of a sudden I gotta fucking plug my remote in or change the batteries.
Right.
Or that's another feature. We never had to take... Like, I understand the convenience, or, like, if you have a huge living room and you need that, extra... You don't want that cord or whatever, but I've always loved a corded remote.
Yeah.
I've never... I mean, I've Wii remotes and stuff like that. There's certain remotes, of course, where it's nice, but I just love a direct connection.
Yeah.
Because it's guaranteed instant feedback, no
latency,
latency, all of that. Like, I've always been a big fan of direct connect.
For sure.
I wish that was always an option.
Yeah.
But now they're trying to make everything wireless.
Right.
You can't even have discs. Even your games are wireless.
Yeah, dude.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But we're saving up for a new PlayStation remote first. Just so we can play Baldur's Gate and the newer games that are coming.
Yeah, I was looking at used ones, and they're like $10 cheaper than a new one. I'm like, well, just get
when we were talking about it the other day, we were literally in the Worcester Mall, because they have like 4 or 5 different nerd stores or whatever, but like 2 different game stores.
Right.
And yeah, literally as we were texting, I was looking at it, and it was like $79.99 for a used.
Yeah,
and I was like, I'll just pay the $83 or whatever for...
Right.
And then I can get my own color and, whatnot. I'm only paying $10 more. It's still guaranteed PlayStation, and no one's touched it. So, like, why not?
Yeah, I was at Game Exchange at that same time.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm looking at one right now that's used, and it's not worth it.
Yeah, that's why we went to Walmart after and was like, let's just look at what the regular prices are, and then we might even go online and just get like a custom one or something.
You can find ones on sale online all the time.
I kind of want to see if I can find one of the PlayStation gray ones. I don't know if they're sold
30th.
Separately.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're sold separately, though. I think that's only a bundle thing.
The 30th anniversary controller is sold separately.
Yeah.
But it sells out almost always, constantly. But, I mean, they keep making that one.
Right.
The console was the only one that was, like, limited.
Yeah. The console, that's a different thing. I already have the console. I don't want a second one.
Right. And I don't think you could get the console without the bundle. You had to get the bundle.
Yeah.
That was like $1,000 for the bundle or whatever. But you got like a portal, 2 controllers, and like the headset and all that stuff too.
Yeah, and it was all gray and...
Right. They had just announced the black version of all of these things.
Oh, like the PS2?
No, it's not gonna look... It's just jet black, like the middle of the PS5, just the whole thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Including the controller and the headphones and all that stuff. But they've done some pretty nice colors already, though, with like the blue and like purple. And,
yeah, I've seen some really sick ones. Because the 30th anniversary pops up on all the PS5s, even the non bundle edition.
I actually have the PS2 on my thing right now.
I think we did. We either did 1 or 2. I think maybe we did 1 on one account and 1. I don't remember, but. That's what really got me into it. I was like, oh man, this every time we boot it now, that classic thing comes down. It would just be great to look down and see that that gray, that.
I wish they would have gone a step farther of like if you chose which one of the themes you chose, it would stick to the opening because it's just it's the PS1 opening for all of them.
It's like yeah, until it pulls up to the main screen and then it does the loading or the menu screen. Yeah.
Yeah, but if I want the PS2 startup.
Yeah, I want that sound. Yeah.
Yeah, I want that, but that's not in there yet. It's just the menus, like the memory card sound of like scrolling to each memory save.
Yeah.
Doop doop doop. And yeah, that's all I've been playing. Pokemon Pocket, so plugging along with that.
Yeah. I did play like a smidge of Marvel Rivals.
Yeah.
Because I downloaded that like right before we bought Baldur's Gate. And yeah, I mean, I haven't played it since the newest update, which is the Fantastic Four or whatever. But it's fun. I never really got into the game that it's copying. I forgot. Overwatch, yeah. I never really got it. I played like maybe...
Yeah, I was in there for like a week or two.
Right, yeah, a little bit. It was never really like my cup of tea. Maybe this is more fun because it's familiar characters, and so the banter is a little more, like recognizable and stuff like that. But Baldur's Gate's going to take over that forever. I would like to find a couple people to play that game with, because it is a fun little, like, it's quick, the battles are quick.
Oh, yeah.
And they're still pretty satisfying, especially, like, once you master a character. Like, I put all my time, when I was playing it for that short amount of time, I put most of it into, like, one character.
Right.
I, like, tested them all in the beginning, and then I just played Moon Knight the whole time. And it was feeling nice. Like, it feels nice.
Yeah. They just announced 4 new characters.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four squad, yeah.
Yeah, and then Doom as well. I don't think Doom will be playable as of right now, but...
Probably not.
It looks like Doom will be the next big villain arc thing.
That's cool.
Of that game. Yeah, I've watched a little bit of it. I mean, it's also a game that, like... I don't want to watch either, like the esports things.
Right, there's not really much going. It's not like a game to watch unless you really know what's going on, because there's so much happening at once. And,
and a lot of the people that are playing it aren't. They're like calling shots and like calling plays, and I was like, I don't.
Right, I prefer like the casual. I prefer just finding like the people that make casual clips. I can't watch like a whole game or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. That kind of.
100%.
Same with like Rocket League. Like I'd never sit and watch a whole Rocket League match or whatever.
Sure.
I'll watch like highlights, learn what the moves, the meta moves are or whatever. But
I'm
not gonna sit like it's a sports game and listen to the announcers and.
Yeah, I don't.
I've tried. Believe me, I've tried. It's just I can't. It's not. It's
hard to get into multiplayer games unless you're already into that multiplayer game.
Yeah.
I've tried. I mean, same thing with like Call of Duty and stuff like that too. It's a lot of clips though. I see a lot of clips, mostly of Jeff the Shark.
That's been the meta recently. Yeah, he's slowly dying out. I think because people have, once you abuse that meta for so long, people find ways to defend it and work around it, and I think that's slowly been happening. And now with the new drop of the 4 new characters, that's become the new. You know, everyone wants to master these instead.
Yeah.
Even though I've only seen 2 of the 4. I don't know if they dropped all 4 yet. I think maybe they're dropping 1 a week or something, because I've only seen Invisible Woman.
Yeah.
If that's her name, and Mr. Fantastic. I haven't seen
Human Torch
or the Thing yet, so I think they might be dropping them per week.
That's smart. I think that's a smarter way to do it.
Yeah. Pretty sure that's how they're doing it.
Yeah, because the characters are free, so like put those out once a week, and then people spend a little bit of money from their paycheck on some new character skins for the new one, and then put the next one out the next week.
Gives you a little time to try one at a time. I also really like the interactions are very unique, which is cool. Like, depending on who's on your team, certain dialogue will pop up.
There's a lot of specific,
lore type stuff. And I also like that if you pick the right people, like if you have all 4 Fantastic Four members on your team, you get like a bonus.
Yeah, same thing with the spiders.
Yeah, there's the spiders, there's all the Asgardian people, or so there's that's really
Groot
cool
and
too,
Rocket,
I think.
Yeah,
Groot and Rocket, or the Hulk and like Wolverine,
Rocket Punisher, I think, is another team up that's
they have like some gun shit. I think the shark can Rocket can ride on Groot, and the shark can also ride on Groot or something like that. There's a couple other
Really?
because he's a small guy.
Oh.
There's a couple weird ones like that, and yeah, that's also really cool. I think if you have a good teammate duo,
right.
You can really make that happen. So
yeah, and I also like that on your team you can have multiple of the same character.
Yeah,
that's like a huge thing with Overwatch is that you cannot.
Right. Well, because they want you. I mean, because technically, you're the goal. I mean, you don't have to. You can play however you want to, but they push for you to have like a dynamic team. You're supposed to have a DPS and a healer and a tank and blah blah blah.
For sure.
So like they don't necessarily want you to have 5 sharks or whatever, but sure, yeah. I mean, if you want to and you win, if you're good, why not? But,
right. 100%. Yeah, dude. I'm happy for that game. I'm happy for people playing that game. I'm happy for the Overwatch community that has been in agony.
Yeah.
Since, I mean, even before Overwatch 2, but like, they got rid of like 6-player squads and stuff like that. They did a lot to that community dirty.
Yeah.
Like, real dirty.
Yeah, this is a great game to sweep in and kind of recover that, and and it's characters that we all know for the most part, even if you're not like into the superhero. Like I don't know much about superheroes, but I recognize a lot of the characters, and they give you plenty of lore with them. Right. And I also like that it's not all familiar characters. Like they have Squirrel Girl and stuff, like these niche little
Psylocke.
Right, it's not just like the Avengers.
Cloak and Dagger.
Right. Yeah. It's like characters you're not. I mean, I think Cloak and Dagger might have had a TV show, but even then, it's such a niche, like small. They didn't just pick, the top 5 heroes on TV right now or whatever, and they also didn't model any of the heroes after the TV people, which I also really like. Like Wolverine looks like comic Wolverine, and stuff like that. They are comics. Very comic based, which is also cool. It's not. It's a fan service to the OG comic people. Yeah,
the actual fans.
Right.
Like,
and
not
just
not saying that people aren't fans of Marvel movies, but
for sure.
Your casual Marvel movie fan is not buying everything Marvel.
Right. It's definitely for the fans.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of deep cuts in there. Mm-hmm. And even with the moves and stuff.
Even with like the skins.
Yeah.
Like Wonder Woman, or not, Invisible Woman, she has like her newest skin is like from this specific comic series or whatever. It's like some sort of evil Invisible Woman. I don't know. I haven't looked into it yet, but it's so that's cool. I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Hell yeah. Well, I would love to go longer, but you do have a hard out.
Yeah, I should probably.
So we will call it there. We will be back next week for sure. Whether it won't be a fantasy draft next week. I think that will be the week after. But I think next week, I mean, depending on how much news we get over this next week, who knows? We might have a Switch 2 to talk about next week. But as of right now, we'll go over what is announced for 2025 next week and kind of like give our thoughts and our predictions and stuff like that. Yeah, kind of just go through lists and everything like that.
Yeah,
I don't think we did that last time, because it's been 3 weeks, so I don't remember. Because we just went through the Game of the Year stuff, and that took so long.
Yeah.
Right. I did have a couple of the Game of the Years, so we'll do that next week too. We'll just go over like who gave who, but like GameSpot gave Metaphor Game of the Year.
Oh, okay. Word.
Yeah, so we'll go through those different lists and stuff from the different outlets and see who gave what. But yeah, any final thoughts? Any closing things you want to say? Get out.
No, I mean, I'll just put more time into Baldur's Gate and come back with that. And I don't want to say too much until I beat it.
Right.
Also, you haven't played it, so I don't want to like.
I know the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I would like you to experience your own unique
Yeah.
story or whatever, because you've only done it through the eyes of other people. So.
Right.
But yeah, it would be nice to once I progress further, like kind of delve into my choices and whatnot, and I would also like us to play that game. That'd be cool. That'd be a game that we could do, for sure.
That was part of the thing of like why I want to upgrade the room with that stuff, because like, I mean, not just Baldur's Gate, but like we still have the Doki Doki DLC we never did.
That's true, yeah.
There's a couple of other games that are in that vein that I would like to do, more horror visual novels with multiple characters and stuff.
I found one that was similar to Doki Doki. I watched a game through.
Yeah.
Recently, but like, it almost tells you right off the bat that it's like meta, because you get like sucked into the game. It's like a Game Boy game or whatever, and you get sucked into it, and like instead of like. It's hard to explain. I'll have to send you a link if I can find it again. Cool. It was really cool though, but it was like it tells you right off the bat that it's gonna be like Doki Doki leads you into the meta. This is like you're the first 5 minutes you're already aware, and like you're in the horror part of it, but it's still like pretty cool. And there's like 5 different endings, I think, so it's cool. Right?
Yeah, Doki Doki is so special. The only giveaway of that game is the ESRB rating, which is a bummer. It's a hard rated M game.
Right. And even that, that doesn't... I mean, it tells you so much and so little at the same time, because you're like, okay, how? Please... Yeah. When does that start? Is it like...
Right, and then the first thing you see when you do press play, it gives you a warning. And it's like...
Oh, yeah.
Depictions of suicide, help hotline warning, like...
And even that... Even with that warning, you're like, oh, well, maybe it's just like... We get into some dark poetry or something, right. You know? Like, there's really no way of being able to connect what happens in that game, even with the warnings. Yeah. So I think... I would have... Yeah, sure. If there was a way to not have warnings, it would have made it that much better, but...
Right. I think...
Definitely didn't... I don't think it spoiled anything.
The original version does not have that warning.
That's cool.
I think that was added retroactively from like complaints.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, the original one played it straight all the way through, and then we played on console, so we didn't really get into the meta stuff.
Right.
But the PC version does like the Undertale thing.
Right, it like corrupts files and stuff. And
yeah, you gotta like go into your actual PC and like delete shit and stuff. Yeah, because it does that whole fake computer thing.
Right.
Like, at the
beginning.
Inscription
and...
Right. And you gotta go to like character files, and then all the PNGs are fucked up and stuff.
Right.
And, yeah. But I'm taking up Patrick's time right now. He does have to hit the road. So until next week, guys, it's been fun. It's been real. Peace out, Cub Scouts. Bye.